Hey everybody, Rob here. So I want to talk to you about procrastination, which is pretty much an affliction with everybody, right? I know I certainly suffer from it, and people who are into business for themselves generally have a unique angle on this, and let me explain why. Life is an ordeal. Being in business for yourself is an ordeal. You're totally 100% responsible for everything. It's not like when you go to a job and there's a structure, here's the deal, you show up at this time, you leave at this time, put in X amount of hours, and you get paid X amount of dollars, okay? Not so when you're working for yourself. So I think for entrepreneurs, for small business owners and whatnot, you need to really tackle the idea and the challenge and struggle that we all have with procrastination. I'm going to give you a few tips. Let me just say this too. When you have a situation where it's done for you, like for example, you have a job and you go out, most people I meet, most people I know, I would say well over 80% are not happy with their jobs. They're happy with the security. And the deal is they get that in exchange for their freedom. So the thing that you get when you're working for yourself is you get freedom, but you also get to suffer the challenges and the chaos that goes along and the stress. To me, I got so used to it, I welcome it, okay? It's just a fact of life. It's just another aspect of reality when it comes to being in business for myself. So I sort of embrace it in many, many ways. But for most of the time, it's a struggle. So some of the strategies that I use that I want to give to you right now, I will just read them off. I wrote them down here really, really quick because I think these are really important. Because I'm probably more prone to procrastinating and slacking off more than anyone. So because that is my nature, I know that, and I know I need to tackle this and really go at it full bore. So some of the strategies that I believe in that I use is, well, first of all, goal setting. Anybody knows me knows I'm a big believer in goal setting. So you need to really have some sort of a vision, 3 to 5 years. Pick one, whatever works for you. Beyond that, it's a little bit too hard to see beyond 5 years. 3 to 5 years is a good big picture. You're never going to get exactly what you sort of envision. Most of the time it changes, but the important thing is that you have something so you have a vision to move towards. So I use cards. I have these recipe cards and I point form my goals, and I have a small stack of them. So I read them every night and often in the morning or throughout the day. I'll go through them really quick. Now you got to break these down as well to yearly goals and monthly goals or to-do lists or projects, whatever you want to call it. Break it down so that you have action steps. But the big picture thing is what's important. And I also include in there affirmations as well because, I'm a slacker, man. So I got to tell myself a different dialogue, a different narrative. So, okay, the other thing I want to point out is you got to ask smart questions. So if you run up against a wall, which is like typical, you're guaranteed you're going to run up against all kinds of problems and challenges. The thing is never to quit, never to give in on a situation and accept it as a reality. Instead, ask yourself, what do you need to learn from this and what can you do to make this a success? Or if it's something that's pretty tragic, what can you learn from it so you can better handle it next time? There's always a positive spin that you can take. One thing that I have often done is I'll take a particular person that I admire, that I know is a go-getter, and I'll say, well, what would so-and-so do? And you ask yourself that question, and you get the creative juices going, and answers will come. So it's very important. Another thing, too, is I have this written out in my office, and that is, it says, positive imagery on cue whenever a negative feeling enters my mind. So boom, as soon as a negative feeling, just tackle it with something positive right away. Instantly and on cue. Okay. Another important thing is to have a love list. Things that you love in life. What are the things that you truly, truly love? Because if you have something that's very mundane, especially if you have like a job that's very mundane, and you're just like whining and bitching and complaining, that's not going to help, because we know you don't like it. We know it's sucking the life out of you. We know it's killing your soul. We know that. But the important thing for you, and we can only do this on an individual basis, the important thing is to create at least a list of things that we love. Sometimes knowing what you don't love is important too. That's a good place to start. That's just as legitimate, but you got to work towards that love list. Have a love list. Ask somebody, a good friend, a spouse, somebody, to ask you the question, what do you love? And you just write, what do you love? And just write anything that comes to mind, and get a sense of the important things that really connect with you. Have discipline and have deadlines. This is really important to me. I use my Google Calendar quite a bit. I call this the paint can in the hallway theory. So if I have a job to do, for example, I got to paint the room, and I don't want to do it, I'll go and buy the paint, and I'll put the paint there. And I don't have a date yet, but that's given me a commitment. See, that's an action step, and I know once I do that, I'm going to move on to the next phase. So that's not exactly a strategy that works in all cases, but it's a very valid strategy because it equates with taking action and commitment. But likewise, I also like to do booking things in the calendar. Or if I have a meeting with somebody, I'll send them an email or send them a phone call and say, can we talk about setting up a date for this? Even though I know I don't want to, it's maybe something I don't want to do or I'm afraid to do. If I just start, or if I schedule it in my day timer, I'll say, okay, next Friday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to call so-and-so, or whatever it is you have to do. So yeah, those are strategies that I use in my life to beat back procrastination, because procrastination is a human thing. You know, we all work from a place of fear. It's just natural. Fear is so natural. It's part of our evolution. And it kicks into all aspects of being in business for yourself, because there's so much that is uncertain when you're in business for yourself. And the reason it's uncertain is because you don't know, you don't see the big picture yet, so you have to create that big picture. Kind of makes sense? And you have to be recreating that and using your creative muscles all the time. All right, get to it, man. No excuses. See you later.